Is this the most divisive movie we're going to have this year? Well, that's what I'm going to discuss here on this review for Civil War. So, this is the fourth film from writer director Alex Garland. His previous films being Ex Machina, Annihilation, and Men. I saw the first two of those. I haven't seen Men yet. But I've been a big fan of Alex Garland as a writer for a long time, writing movies like Dread and Never Let Me Go. And he's proved himself to be a very strong director. I've not been in love with everything that he's done, but I'm always excited for it because I think that he brings something fresh to the table. So, this film, Civil War, is about a civil war, but it's also kind of not at all about a civil war because it's really about these photojournalists. You have your main character, Kirsten Dunst, playing Lee, and she and the Wagner Mora character of Joel, they are on their way to Washington, D.C., and they have a couple of people tag along with them. One old, one young. So you have Stephen McKinley Henderson, who has been around in the journalism game for a while, and he wants to get up to where the action is basically. And then you also have Kaylee Spaney, who Lee is one of her character Jesse's like biggest influences, her heroes, and she ends up tagging along with them too. So it's really these four characters that we're following through this movie. And I'm not one to watch trailers, but just seeing the marketing for this and the title of the movie, frankly, alone, you just kind of expect this to be inflammatory, especially it's an election year here in America, a very divisive election year, to say the least. Not that election years aren't always divisive. This one is especially so. And I don't know about anybody else out there, but I have a lot of people in my life who love to talk about how it's all leading to this kind of, breaking point. And that's what this movie's here to explore. And it's not here to explore the exact ideologies behind any of this, though. It's more so like, what does this look like if this happens? And in that way, in the way that it presents everything, there is some horrific stuff here. It feels very much like a war film. In fact, you could have told the same story in some sort of modern war context, and it could have been a very similar type of story. Now, in this case, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm still kind of mulling it over how I feel about that choice in the film to not present a real perspective on the actual conflict. You get some vague information regarding the president and actions that they have taken, where you understand why there would be people who are against him as an individual, but not based on any of his political beliefs or anything. So I think on one hand, it was very wise, it's very smart to not have that, because that way you can watch the film and kind of get the impact of it in the just looking at how bad it would be if we actually had to live through this kind of thing that some people in our country think is inevitable. On the other hand, the movie doesn't really have a strong stance on much of anything either, other than war is bad, in which case, the movie's definitely more interested in these photojournalist characters themselves. So, I mean, in that way, it is a character driven film. It's not doing anything too deep with the characters, though, either. I really think that the movie's greatest strength is in its presentation of images. And these characters being photographers, they are taking pictures throughout the movie. And the way that he inserts those photos through the editing, I think, is a really strong and creates a lot of very poignant moments. There are also some terrific scenes of tension building. The direction here is great, and it's really riveting to watch this film. It's just one of those that when I step away from it all, I don't know how much there really is to chew on with it, but there are definitely things from it that will stick with me as just like that was great filmmaking. It was very thoughtfully put together and constructed filmmaking. I just don't know if the overall idea, the overall content of the film might be a little short sighted by not defining itself more clearly. But yeah, that, like I said, there's a great scene with Jesse Plemons that's incredibly tense. There's some other actors and characters that pop up throughout the film, and you get kind of segmented parts of the movie, and kind of this is the part where this is happening, with this character here for this stretch of time. Because it is very much a road movie in that kind of way, and it has that structure to it, which I do think is a strength. It gives you a nice kind of context for how people are navigating this world. So yeah, it gives you a very good look at kind of the reality of the situation without diving too deep into any political ideology, which makes this movie, I don't think, nearly as divisive as some people might have thought it might be based on just the title and the posters, which I do think is good, because I think that, I live in the American South, and sometimes you hear people almost like they want this. And so if a few of those people see this and like, well, maybe I don't want this, then I think that's good. And if you had overt political messaging in the film, then you would alienate a certain part of your audience. But I don't know if that makes this a better movie or not. But either way, it's definitely worth checking out. It's worth seeing. It's very good filmmaking. And I do think that there's going to be a discussion around this film. Just not the one that I thought it was going to be. But that'll do it for this mini review. I really liked the film, and I think a lot of other people will too. So if you have any thoughts on it, just let me know what you thought about it in the comments. If you feel so inclined, give this video a like, subscribe to us. We're going to keep putting reviews out as much as I'm able to. This isn't a full-time gig for me. It's just something I get to do on the side, but I try to get out as much as I'm able to. So yeah, thank you for joining me once again, and I'll see you at the movies.